This is the raw data I'm starting with. Very messy. And this is what we are building from it. One video from start to finish. Every skill from episode 1 to episode 8 combined in one project. This is the final series. Welcome back to Zero to Excel Hero. This is episode 9, the series finale. Over the last 8 episodes, you have built a budget tracker, learned to format a professional converted data into a smart table, master 12 essential formulas, built if logic that makes decision automatically, created charts that actually communicate, and learn to print a report that looks as good on paper as it does on screen. Today, we use all of it at the same time in a single project. I prepared a raw data set. It's intentionally messy, just like the real data always is. It presents quarterly sales data from a financial company. Your job and our job is to turn it into a complete professional business report. Download the starter file from the description. Open it now. We are building this together. The first step is data cleaning. So let's start our data cleaning. If you look at the first column, you'll see the data are formatted in different styles. Let's try and format them in a single style. So let's try and select. Wow, there is an issue here. The blank row is merged and center. And because the blank row is merged and center, we cannot only select the date column alone. So let's look for all the blank rows within our data. We select them. Use your control to select all the blank row. Control and select. Then you right click and delete. Shift cells up. Yes. So you can see all the blank rows are gone. The blank row would have given us a lot of issue while we are doing our calculation. So we are done with them. Let's now go back to our date. So let's select the date again. You can see I can select the column alone now. Then do Control 1 and go to your date format and pick the date format that you like. You want to ensure all these are dates. So I've picked the date format. But we don't need every day of the date. We only need the months in our date. So how do we do that? How do we extract the month? Let's look for an extra column here. Let's extract the month from all the dates. You use your text function, then you pick your cell. How do you want it to appear? We want it to appear in we want month. We type 3M to have a short form of every month. If you use 2M, it will give you in numbers, and if you use 4Ms, it will give you the total months shown, like January. But in this case, it will give you the short form. Let's close it, and you can see you have Jan for January, and you can drag it down, and you can see where you still have errors, and you can see your November and December. November and December, because the year is not totally specified. So we can manually adjust this on our data to ensure we pick the right date format. So now you can copy this and use it to replace your date value, since we want only the month out of our date. So it's showing error because we are using it to replace where we came from. You look for this symbol and you click paste value, and that will be paste value, and you are able to paste the value of your date. The next place we'll check is, let's check our amount. If you look at your amount, some of the amount values are recorded as text. You will see an error message. When you see this green is showing an error message, when you look for the error message, you say number stored as text. How do we resolve this? You Control Shift down arrow to select the column. Then you go to your data tab, then look for text to column. Then you click on finish. And if you look at it, it has cleared all the error message. You won't see that green icon at the top. You can also want to make it to look like currency. Then you go to your number formatting style. You can click on either accounting or currency. It will give you the number formatting style you want. So you can see they are representing the actual number formatting style we want. Then the next one is to check on our category and expense. If you look at your category, you can see coaching here. One is in capital letter. This will give you error when you are doing some calculation, especially if you are using a SUMIF formula. How do we resolve this? We'll look at two methods. The first method is you can select your column, do Control H. Control H is for find and replace. So you can do your coaching. You want to replace all coaching with coaching, and you click replace all. You will say 11 scene, and it's replacing 11. So you can see all the coaching has been replaced with coaching. But the downside with this is I will have to be looking for everywhere there is an error and do the same thing for it. But why not we use a formula that can do this for all the cells at once? So what you will do is, there is a formula in Excel that is called proper. It's used to capitalize text. So when you go to proper, just click on your text, that's capitalize the text, and you can just drag this down for all our values. Then you copy and paste. You copy and paste it back here, and remember, you just do paste values and you have it. All of them is capitalized. You can do the same thing for your expense, and in this case you can use your control H because it's only two values you have here, expense and revenue. So let's use control H here. We look for any form of expense. We want it to be expense, replace all. Then for your revenue too, you want it to be revenue, replace all. So the last thing you will do here is to make your data a table, and to make it a table, I will want to remove every adjoining text that I've put around there so that it won't be attached to my table. Let's do Ctrl A to select our table. Then you do Ctrl T, and it's asking you, does your table have an header? Is it selecting the right range? Yes. Then you just do OK. And let's pick the table formatting style we like. Though it's not showing, how do we do that? How to make it shown is to remove the formatting style that came with our Excel sheet. Go to Home, you click on Normal, so it will show the one you've just picked. Then go to Table. Make sure you give your table a name. So I will be naming it Sales Data. Make it a culture to give your table a name. So before we move to the next stage, let's quickly do some formatting. Let's delete all our other data that are not needed again. So I would like to have banded rows in my data. So I choose banded row. Then let's try and format the data to look like what we want it to be. Adjust cell column, centralize some cells, some column, like the date. You centralize the date. Also centralize the quarter, then centralize the type, and our amount, we want to make it in terms of an accounting format. Then we adjust the cells, the column. Now that we have a clean data, let's move to phase 2. Phase 2 is to build the summary calculation. So you have to create a new sheet. I have created a new sheet. If you want to create a new sheet, just click on the plus sign here, and you can right click on the sheet. I've created one already. Right click on the sheet to rename the sheet. So what we'll be doing first is to calculate our KPIs for the report, key performance indicator for the report. We get our total revenue, total expensive, net profit, profit margin, total records, and average transaction. For your total revenue, we can use our SUMIF function. SUMIF, what range do we want to sum? We'll go back to the sheet that carries the clean sheet data. What is the sum range? What will determine what we want to run? We want to know if it's an expense or a revenue. So you click on your type, then we want to check for revenue. Then what do you want to sum? You want to sum any one that is revenue in this sum amount. And you press your enter key, and you can see the total revenue for the period under review. So let's do SUMIF also to get the total expense. So let's go back to our clean data. The same method, select the type, but we are looking for expense this time around. And the sum range is also our sum amount. And press the enter key. You can see your total expense. For our net profit will just be revenue minus total expense. You have your net profit. Then for profit margin will be your net profit divided by your total revenue. That will give you a profit margin. In your own case, this might not be in percentage. So you come to your total here and ensure you change it to percentage. If it's on general, it will show as a number. Then you can come here and change it to percentage, either from here, or if it's from here, you can see it's 4%. If I want it in 2 decimal places, I will get it from here. Then the total record. Use count A to know the number of total record you have. Count A, go to our sales data, just select this first column. It will count every non-empty cell in your table, and you have total record of 60. And what is the average transaction? You use average if, we want to know the average revenue. So you use average if. We'll go back to this place again for your type, and you are checking for revenue under your type, and what are we summing? What are we going to find? The average is the average of the amount, and you press your enter key. Now you have the average of the revenue. So now let's check for the quarterly breakdown. Here we are going to use SUMIFS, which is the plural form, because we are going to be checking for quarter one if it's quarter one and revenue. So we are going to be checking under the quarter and the type. So let's try our hands on SUMIFS. SUMIF. What do you want to sum? What's the sum range? Here you first specify the sum range, comma. What's the first criteria? Criteria range. What's the criteria range? We want to go check if it's where you have quarter one, your quarters. Then what do you want to check there? You can come to this place. Since we already have our text specify as quarter one under B19, you said no, I want to check for it in B19. B19. Then what is this second criteria? The second criteria is under our type. We want to check if it is revenue. If it is revenue. So in this case, I want to lock my revenue so that I can drag my SUMIF down. I want to lock my revenue and now press my enter key. So this is the total revenue for the first quarter. And when you drag it down, you can see the revenue for the other quarters here. So we will do the same thing for our expense. So let's look for our expense per quarter. Where is our sum range? We also go back to our data, we are summing here. What was the criteria range 1? This is our first criteria range. And where are we checking for the quarter is this cell B19. So type in your B19. The second criteria range is the type. We want to check if it's an expense there. And the second criteria range is the type, which is an expense, then your comma. And what is the criteria? You check if it is an expense. Since I have expense typed here, I can use this and I will lock it because I want to drag it down and I don't want it to shift. I put your enter key. If you want, you can type in expense directly, or when I selected B19, you can also put your Q1 directly. But in that case, you will not be able to drag. You have to change for Q1 to Q2 to Q3 and Q4. So you press your enter key, and if you see we have an error here, and the source of the error is in our clean data, we have expense here, and in the header here that I use as a source, you have expenses there. So if I remove the S here, you will see the correct answer will pop up. So sometimes you can have such kind of error where you will not be able to get the right answer. So I can drag this down now, and you have the expense for each quarter. So you can do the net profit for each quarter, which is your expense minus your revenue minus your expense. And you have the net profit for each quarter. Then the profit margin will be your net profit divided by your revenue. And you have it here. And if your own is not showing percentage, remember, you can just go in here and select percentage and increase your decimal or reduce your decimal place with this one. And you can drag this down also, and you see your percentage difference. Okay, so the next one is to compare each quarter to the previous quarter. So for the first quarter, there is nothing to compare. So we'll start with the second quarter. And how do we compare it? It will just be equals to your profit for this quarter. We are comparing the profit minus the profits of the previous quarter, and you will see and want to know the percentage difference. So in this case, you will divide it by the previous quarter. But because profit can be either loss or profit, and if it's a loss, it will be showing negative. So because we don't want to divide with a negative number, we use what we call an absolute in Excel. An absolute converts a negative number to a positive number. So we divide by this, and you have what is supposed to be in percentage, but since this place is appearing, we can convert it to percentage so that we can see it in percentages. Then you can drag it down. The last section under our summary sheet is the category breakdown. Here we are also going to use the SUMIFS formula, because we are checking for both online costs and the revenue. The first thing they're asking you of is the sum range. Let's look for our sum range is the amount here. Then what is the next one? It said the criteria range. So what's our criteria range? The first criteria is under our category. Then what's the criteria for the criteria range 1? What is the criteria? It's in our cell B29. Cell B29. Then we have the second criteria range, which is the type. What are we looking for? We are looking for revenue. So you can close your formula and you can see this is the revenue for online courses. You can drag this down and you have revenue for all the other courses. You can also use the same SUMIFS formula for the expense. You look for your sum range. The sum range is also our amount. What's the first criteria range 1? You look at this should be the sum range is this, sorry. Then the criteria range 1 is this, and where is the first criteria is in cell B29. Then what's the second criteria range is your type, and what are you looking for there? It's your expense. Then you close your brackets and you can see the expense for online courses. You can drag this down to have the expense for all the other courses, and if you look at it, your total revenue is equals to the total revenue you have up here, and your total expense is also equals to the total expense we have up here. Then what is the net profit per category? You can do this, the revenue minus the expense, and you can drag that down to have your total net profit. Percentage of revenue. If you want to know what percentage of the revenue each category gives you, it will be equals to the revenue of each category divided by the total revenue. And you can log this revenue down, the total revenue down, since you will not be changing it. And you can see the percentage of each one. Then let's rank our category. Let's see the category that is the most profitable. How do we do that? There is a formula in Excel that is called rank. Rank with, what do you want to rank? Which number do you want to rank? You want to rank this. You want to know the rank of this one within this range, and you can lock the range so that you can drag down your formula, and you can see it's telling you is the second most successful with revenue generation. And dragging it down, you can see the one with the highest revenue generation. That way you rank your category. Now you have a summary sheet that can be presented to your management or whoever you want to present this to. They can look at the revenue per quarter, the expense, and the category breakdown. Which one is bringing in more profit? Which one is bringing in the best, generating the best revenue? And you can see the key performance indicator, the total revenue, the expense, and so on. Now we've come to the second phase. We'll move to the third phase, we'll start developing our executive reports. Welcome to the phase 3, build the charts. If you look at this, we've come to our executive report tab. I've already moved my quarter table and the category breakdown to my executive report tab. So we have these two here. And here, these are all referencing the values we have on our summary table. So let's go to building our chart. The first chart we are going to build is a bar chart for the category revenue. Just select your data. You want the category and the revenue. So you go to insert, then look for your bar chart. This is our bar chart. And remember what we learned in episode 7 on how to make our bar chart look professional. So let's start with it. The first thing is you select your bar chart. Make sure you are selecting your grid line and press delete. Remove your grid line. The second one is to remove the border. You click any of this white space, then go to format chart area, look for where you have the border, and you can see you have the border here. Format chart area, look for the border. Under the border, pick no line. So you don't want a line for the border. The third item here is make your text area or whatever is accepted in your company. Just use something bold and clear. So I'm picking area. You can see they've come out bolder. The fourth one is make all our bar green, because green is our color. So you select the bar. Either you do it from the view here or you do it from your home tab. So I will do it from the field here, make it green. They are all green. And also the top performer, you select the bar with the top performer. In this case, our top performer is ebook. So you select it. You can see it's only ebook that is selected, and you can change the color of the top performer. Here I'll change it to a gold color. The last one we'll be doing here is to write a specific title. So you can just say cost revenue trend 2026 Q1 to Q4. Make sure it's bold. Then you can also add your as-is title. This one is category, and that's your bar chart. So you can move your bar chart to where you want it to be on your Excel sheet. So let's create a line chart for the quarterly performance. So we're using the net profit and the quarter. So you select your quarter, then hold your control key and select your command key if you're using Mac. Select your profit, then go to insert, then click on a line chart. So we'll do the same thing. Click on your grid. All this is formatting method that we did for the other one. Please try and do it for this one also. So the border, no line. The text, just select any white space. Make your text area. Then the line, change the color. I want it to be green because green is our color. You can add your chart title, and in this case, you can add your legend, but I would say instead of legend, we'll put the as-is title. So this will be net profit. Then you add the as-is title for the horizontal. So you put your quarter. And if you remember, we didn't add the as-is title for the vertical here. So let's add it. So that will be revenue. So what's the title? You will say net profit trend. Give it a title, quarterly performance. Then bold this one. So you can take your and place it at the place you want. Also, I want my line to have smooth edges. So I'll click on the line, and when this is open, go down, you look for your smooth line and click on it. So it won't have a sharp edge, and it will do like a flow of your chart will have a flow, not sharp edges. Before we continue, pause the video and make sure you do the header part of your sheet, because we are already building our executive report, and ensure you label each of your sheets. Give them a name so that it can be easily recognizable for you. Let's go to phase 4. Phase 4, here we'll be doing some if statements and conditional formatting. So for the status here, we want to get the status, we say, and what we want to do for the status is we want to set messages for different level of profit. So we'll start, if you are doing that, we want to compare the profit. We'll do if the profit, which is here, is greater than or equals to 50,000, you will say, what do you want it to say here? You want to say you are on track, comma. Well, because we want to use three different, if we want to have three values, we will not just specify the other value. We will do a nested if here. We put another if. So what's the second logical step? You say this one also, if it's greater than or equals to, in this case, let's use 10,000. If your profit is greater than 10,000, you say watch. Else, just say below target. Let me close it, and you can see we have it. In this place, we are watching the profit while the others are on track. So the next step is to do some conditional formatting. So let's go to our home tab, select the cell range that you want to apply some conditional formatting. So I want it to, if it's showing watch, let it be on yellow. If it's showing on track, let it be on green. And if it's showing below target, let it be on red. So let's go ahead. In this case, we have to create the rule ourselves because none of the rules here can be applied. So you click classic and you change this one to use a formula to determine your conditional formatting. So let's go ahead. Let's pick this cell. So make sure you change it to something that move around or change. So let's not lock our cell. Equals to, let's start with below target. When it's below target, what do you want it to be? I want it to show on red, and that's all. And because no one is below target here, you won't see it. But let's set the other rules. We are setting 3 rules. Let's move to the one for watch. Use formula also. So we'll go here, pick this, ensure using the cell is not locked down the way it is. So we'll change it using our F4. And when it's equals to watch, what do you want to see? Expand. I want it to be yellow fill. So you will see, you can see immediately it's appearing. So let's set the third row for on track. Change it to classic, pick, use a formula. Then let's select our cell. We'll still select the first cell, the active cell. Then let's move it to, so that it will not be locked down, equals to on track. And when it's on track, what do you want? I want it to be in green color. Voila. And you can see the way it is. The one that is on track is in green color. And if you want to check all our conditional format that we've applied here, you can see the three of them. Then for here, we can also apply a simple conditional formatting here. We want to use data bar to show which one is giving the highest profit. A data bar aggregates them based on the values they have here. So you go to your conditional formatting, go to your data bar, and let's pick this. And you can see the one with the highest revenue has the longest bar. That way you have your data bar. So the next phase is print setup and final polish. This we discuss extensively in episode 8. So you can look at episode 8 for more explanation. The first thing is to switch the page layout. So we'll switch to page layout view, and from here you can see it's page layout view. At the bottom you switch it to page layout. And from there you can see that if you try to print this document, your document will be splitted into pages. Part of this will be cut off. So then let's look at it. The best way to print this kind of document that is being cut off is to change it to a landscape view. So we'll change it from a portrait to a landscape view. And from that you can see it has enter your Excel sheet. Those that are cut off on the right are inside your Excel sheet now. So let's move on. Then what do? We'll try and fit everything to one page on by the width. Let the height be automatic. So let's fit the width to one page. This will ensure that this take the best side of your sheets. Then make your margin narrower so that you can take the best part of your Excel sheet. Then the next one for us to do is to set our header and footer. For the header, you can put annual perennial alpha annual report, the name of your company, and at the right hand side you can insert your date. And how do you insert your dates? You go to, when you are in header and footer, you'll see an header and footer tab here. Go to the header and footer tab and look for current date. Just click on it. It will insert the current date in your sheet. Then let's do the footer. So let's go for the footer. At the left hand side of the footer, you should put confidential, while at the right hand side you can put page number. So I will say page 1 of number of page. So this will give me maybe page 1 of 1, page 2, page 1 of 3, page 1 of 4, page 1 of, and so on and so forth. Then there's one crucial thing you need to set up: your print area. So you highlight the whole of your sheet where you want to print. So let's return it back to the other so that you can see it very well. Highlight your sheet or where you have something you want to print so that Excel will know where you want to print. Then you go to print area, you say set print area. So Excel will know this is the area of your work you want to print. So one last thing to set up. I want this header to appear on every page of my executive report. So how do I do that? You go to your print title under your page layout, then click on rows to repeat. Try and select the rows that you have your header and you click OK. And immediately you'll see an adjustment. Your header is showing on every row. Now I will adjust all this thing to fit into the separate row I want them to fit into. This one, I'll move it down so that it can show perfectly here. And this also, I will set it up perfectly. The way you can see the header is showing, the header of this one is also showing. So now if you decide to do a Control P, you will see how your reports are neatly arranged. Look at the page 1, you have the data, the page 2, you have your charts, and page 2, you have the other chart. So you can print this out. In my own case, I'll be printing it to PDF and I'll be saving it in my. And when you look at it, on each page, you will be seeing your training, your headers, and your footer. You can see page 1 of 3, page 2 of 3, and so on and so forth. Take a screenshot of your finished reports right now and drop it in the comments. I want to see every single one, and I'm going to reply to every comment on this video this week. It is the final. The completed report file is in the description. It includes the raw data, the summary calculation, and a fully formatted executive report sheet with every formula, chart, print setting pre-applied. Use it as a reference or just use it. Let me tell you what you just did. 8 episodes ago, you opened Excel and you didn't know what the name boss was. Today, you cleaned messy reward data, wrote SUMIF formulas, built 2 professional charts from scratch, designed a formatted executive report, applied conditional formatting that makes the data visual, and set it up to print perfectly on one page. That is not beginner level work. That is how analysis, finance professional, and business owner use Excel every single day. You are one of them now. Episode 10, which is already live, map out exactly where you go next, what to learn, in what order, and how to keep building. Episode 10 is the bridge from confidence beginner to wherever you want to go. It is right up there. If you have watched this series from episode 1, thank you. Drop a comment telling me one thing that's changed for you. I read every single one. I will see you in episode 10.